Hey, in Luke 1, the angel appears to Mary and he says this, "Greetings, O favored one." And I think if you're Mary, you show up and you're just like, first of all, what is an angel doing here? Second, what great news to receive from an angel that you are favored. And I love that because there's this young girl who's just, I don't know, she's in her backyard and an angel shows up and she gets this incredible revelation that among every single person on earth, she is favored. And I think about what those words must have meant to her, what it meant that God's special attention was on her and that she had favor with him. But here's the thing. As Mary's story progresses throughout the Gospels and throughout the New Testament, we find out that God's favor probably did not always feel very favorable to Mary. Because here's the thing. As soon as she found out that she was favored by God, she got pregnant. And then she had to live with the reality of being an unwed pregnant girl in a society that absolutely rejected her because of that. And then she had to deal with all of the pains of labor and there not being room at the end for her. And then she had to deal with raising this child. And then ultimately she had to deal with the painful reality of watching this child be rejected by the people that he came to save. All the while knowing that she had this news that she was the favored one from God, who was chosen to carry his one and only son and bring him into the world. Favor for Mary, I think, oftentimes did not feel very favorable. And I wonder if there's something in that for us. Because sometimes I think we're really tempted to look on our everyday circumstances and really judge how God feels about us by looking at our circumstances. If we're happy and healthy, oh, we must be favored. If we're unhappy or unhealthy or maybe struggling with anxiety or depression or the loss of something near and dear to us, then I think, all right, well, I guess maybe God's attention is not on me or perhaps God just simply doesn't favor me. But if we pay attention to Mary's story, we have the facts from God. She was favored. And yet God's favor does not always feel very favorable in our story. But what is God's favor truly? What is God's special attention and blessing on our life? Well, for Mary in the Christmas story, God's favor meant that she had this special access to God's only son. She had this special access to God himself, and she had a very important place in God's story. And I think for you and I today, that can be true just as it was for Mary. Because Mary was the favored one and brought Jesus into the world, we now live in a chapter of the Christian story where we get special access to God himself. And in every circumstance that doesn't feel very favorable, we have God himself with us, Emmanuel, living inside of our story, counseling us, comforting us, walking beside us in every circumstance where it maybe seems like he has forgotten us or simply is displeased with us. Also, just like Mary, we have the opportunity to be a part of God's story. Ongoing throughout salvation history, God cares for humanity, and he has come to right every wrong. And just like Mary got to play a specific part in that story, so too, you and I today get to play a specific part in that story. So as you're going about this Christmas season, today, I want you to notice every moment that just seems unfavorable. That just seems like maybe God has forgotten you or he's not very happy with you. And then I want you to think about Mary and every moment that she faced, maybe even the moment when she was watching her son crucified on the cross. Think about how it felt for her in that moment and realize that we can't read our circumstances into how God feels about us. In fact, take those circumstances, bring them to God and say, God, instead of looking at these circumstances and taking out of them what I think you feel about me, instead I'm going to accept that I get your presence in my life today, in this Christmas season. And more than that, I get to play a part in your story, whatever part it is that you have assigned for me to play. As you go about Christmas this week, I just want you to meditate on that. And today I want you to go before God and receive his favor into your life, knowing it may not just feel exactly as you think it might feel. Hope that encourages you today.